Hi, I'm Cindy Watkins, and welcome to mgctv Sports Profiles. Today we're talking to Guy Hemmings, one of Canada's most popular curlers. Hemmings has represented Quebec at the Brier many times and came close to winning in the 90s. Today, Hemmings shares his thoughts on playing against Furby and Martin and the Rockin' House Curling Tour.
Hi, Cheryl. Hello.
If you had a choice, which team would you rather face, Furby or Martin?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd rather not face any of those. But actually, it's a good sign if you're facing one of those because you're probably close to the final or the playoff at least, because those guys are always in the final or always in the playoff. So they're certainly one of the two top teams in the world, and it's always a great treat to play against both of them.
Are you in the Olympic trials?
No, we didn't qualify for that though. But we'll be there. We'll be there as a curling fan and doing some promo for Canadian Curling Association. It's going to be a great event, and lots of people traveling from all across the country to go and watch that or watch on TV. It's going to be great.
What brings you to Squamish?
I work on a tour. It's called the Rockin' House Curling Tour. It's a tour put on by the CCA like 4 years ago already. We're starting on a 5th year, traveling all across the country, basically promoting the sport. So we spend lots of time in school and different curling clubs across the country, promoting the sport, helping develop and stuff like that. So it's just this. We go to every province every year, and at this time of the year we're in BC. So we've never been to this part of the British Columbia so far. We've been to many other places, but it was the first time in this area here. So it's good to be here. A wonderful place.
What are some of the things you'll be doing in Squamish to promote the tour?
Yeah, like we just came from a school. We went to an elementary school there, and we talked to them for about an hour, showed them some video presentation, and talk about the game, and try to introduce them to the game a bit, and change the mind of some of them that curling is only a sport for older people. And I think it worked. They were pretty excited and well-behaved, nice kids, and it was a great meeting with the kids. And we're here at the curling club to meet with the established member and talk about curling, give them a few speech. And obviously it would have been nice to go on the ice, but we go so many different clubs over the next last few days, and today and tomorrow it's kind of tough to do everything we'd like to do, but we try to cover as many ground as we can.
So we're not going to see you throw any rocks today?
The chances are pretty slim. We're running out of time already.
What kind of curling strategy tips can you give a young skip just getting into the game?
Yeah, well, the strategy, like the thing we'll do today with the members here is there's a lots of difference between strategy and tactics, you know, and lots of people always do understand the strategy of the game pretty easily. Most of the skip do, you know. The tactics could be a bit difficult to understand and to put according to your team skills and stuff like this. And so basically what we're talking, try to establish what your team's strength is and play with it and use it as often as you can instead of play on the other guy's strength. So that's basically what we're talking about.
From your discussions with people, have you noticed more people getting involved with curling, especially in your home province of Quebec?
Yeah, it does. Actually, you know, I started to curl myself. I was 23 years old, being a French Canadian from just outside Montreal. And there were a curling club in my hometown, but we didn't curl and even think about going to the club. We thought it was a sport for English-speaking people or older people, like most of the people thinking in Quebec at the time about curling. But over the last 20 years, you know, curling changed quite a bit. The perspective, especially the French Canadian, you know, they discovered the sport. You could see it a bit more often on television, and with the success of some guys had, you know, like Marie-France Larouche and the girls, and a bit of what we did, you know, being on TV more often than usually Quebec used to be like 20 years back. You know, we had a couple of French Canadian going there and being on TV more often, so it helps selling the product, and I think it's changing for the best. I think overall the last 2 years in different curling clubs across the province of Quebec, they got an increase of about 17%, so it's pretty good.
Do you think having curling as an Olympic medal sport has helped curling grow in Canada and around the world?
Well, obviously, there's no doubt, and your second part of your question is probably even more true, you know, especially around the world. You know, there's lots of countries where the Olympic is still the ultimate sport. You know, here we're spoiled in America, but lots of pro sport. You know, we've got a pro hockey, pro baseball, football, and two types of football. And there's a basketball. There's lots of sport on television, and lots of money in the sport. But many countries, because I had a chance to live in France, I had a chance to appreciate that aspect. That in many countries in Europe and some other part of the world, that the Olympic is a huge event, and they take way more advantage or way more pride of having a gold medal or a medal at the Olympics. So curling being a sport Olympic, it just raises level in many different countries.
And you mentioned cash. How much money have you won in the cash spiels?
Well, so far this year, not too many we play once people that qualify, but we had some good years. Obviously, never as close as a guy like Kevin Martin and David did the last 2 years. Those guys just break records. They went way overboard. But when the teams wins, it's not a pro sport. We basically we're fairly happy if you cover our expense. All the time off that we have to take to play curling and traveling and hotels and food and stuff like this, and all the money we spend to be able to compete at that level. If you break even, you're having a good season. That's a problem with amateur sport. It's tough to get the money to support the team, and that's why so often you see the same team, because it's tough for a young team to get out because they can't find a sponsor to give them a chance to start traveling. Because you cannot just start traveling and go to Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or BC and expecting to win. You got to pay your dues, and it's tough without the sponsor. But if a team wins 40,000, 50,000, it's a good season.
Why is it important to promote curling?
Why it's important to promote curling? Well, it's like any other sport. We obviously need to have the young people to play the sport, and it's a sport that I think suffered over the last few years, the last 20 years, maybe a bit of a negative impression that it's a sport for all the people, obviously. But now when I talk to the kid like I did this morning, my first question I asked them, do you think curling is a sport for all people? And you could see their kid raising their hand, and half of them say yes. And my answer is always the same. Yeah, I say, you're right. It's a sport for all the people. Right? But it's not because it can be played by the guy 60 years old, or 75 years old, or 50, or 42 years old like myself. They cannot be played by young guys like yourself, and very seriously and very accurately. And that's how I'm going to try to change their mind about that. And the people, I've been introduced lots of people to the game of curling in my life, and I never bring anybody to curling club who try curling for the first time and say, oh, more boring, and I thought. We got some negative perspective, and we go to the school, go to the young people, and try to break those negative perspective, bring them on the ice. They got pretty excited and realized, hey, that's a sport, that's a more serious sport than I thought it would ever be.
I thank Guy Hemmings for sharing his thoughts, and I thank you for clicking in. I'm Cindy Watkins, and I'll see you again on MGCTV Sports Profiles.